Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Launch Codes Football. I'm Chris W.
I'm Chris P.
And I'm Chelsea, delegated back to third because unfortunately Chris returned.
Look at Chelsea third wheeling again.
Oof, what's new?
True. But Chris, since you weren't on last time, how you doing? How things been?
It's been pretty good. It hasn't been too crazy. I've been watching some teams play and looking forward to the playoffs.
Let's go. Yes, we are playing off. So today we have a little bit of a different episode than normal. And I think it's going to be really funny and could lead to some horrible, horrible takes, or it could lead to the best takes you've ever seen in your life. So, without further ado, let's get in it. So, what we're going to do today is if you are watching the YouTube, this will make it even better. We have ourselves a randomizer wheel. Now, you may have seen those everywhere, and you may be like, why do you guys have to do this? Literally everyone does these. But no. We today we want to do randomizing of play of teams that are in the playoffs, and we have to defend them, and why they would win the Super Bowl. So, for example, if I spin this right now, we spin here. Hopefully you guys are watching or can see on YouTube. So we get the Cowboys here. So in this case, I would have to make a case on why the Cowboys will choke in the win the Super Bowl.
Oof.
Come on, you can't tell me you guys aren't
But
waiting for the three-peat 3 years in a row Cowboy chokes where it's in spectacular fashion. Like last year when Zeke blocked 5 guys on his own and got pancaked at the end of the game. That's crazy. But anyways, that's besides the point. So I think we're going to go ahead and get started here. So Mr. Chris P, how about you go first here? So we'll see which team you get. And
to clarify,
go.
each of us are going to spin one time and we're each going to defend one team on why they should win the Super Bowl. So it'll be 3 teams randomly. It should be pretty hype or dumb. Who knows? Depends on what we land on.
It'll be
I hope
beautiful.
I don't get the Eagles.
I hope you do get the Eagles.
Now he's going to get the Eagles. Ready? Eagle.
Eagle.
Oh!
Are you actually kidding me?
We have a winner. All right.
I think this is rigged.
All right, dude.
Chris P, explain why the Philadelphia Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl.
They're not. They're not.
No. That's not the game.
No, that is not the intent. You have to defend them as to why they will win the Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl? Oh,
yes,
God.
The Super Bowl. Why they will win the Super Bowl.
This year, not any other year. This year, this playoff.
Not in the future, not in the past. The now.
Okay, so if they this pains me.
This is so funny. I hope you guys are watching this on YouTube because this is too funny.
This hurts me. So with the Eagles, oh gosh, I still want to be talking negative about them since Jalen Hurts literally got injured this past game, and but with that being said, honestly, I think they would be able to win the Super Bowl if it was like, let's say, like with we'll say that if they have overwhelming offense and Jalen Hurts actually continues to play and actually score, I believe they would be able to win. They have a great defense, don't get me wrong, but the defense is out there for 4 quarters and they don't have literally a breath to breathe, then yeah, but I think since they have a really good defense, a very young defense in certain aspects, and also with Jalen Hurts, if he does play well and actually lay on the hurt of scoring, I think they will be MVPs of winning the Super Bowl. The only I think I will say the downsides of this is this: Swift will have to take up the role of responsibility in actually doing well, and performing when Jalen Hurts is tired of throwing. Jalen Hurts will have to pick the right route to AJ Brown or Devontae Smith and not force it in double coverage. And with AJ Brown, I think he needs to be open and he needs to proactively look for areas where he can get a catch that is either crucial or can get them a high lead in just yardage. I think he has potential in being an MVP if he can. Along with Devontae Smith, I think they have young talent. They have young corners. I think they will be a strong team to win the Super Bowl.
And
Okay.
I'll add on to that. They have one of the best O lines in the league, also.
Mhm.
And that's one of the essential things that you have to have in order to win a
Mhm.
Super Bowl. So, I mean, they have that going for them. So, even if Jalen Hurts, limps into the playoffs, he still is
Which they are.
behind one of the best lines in the league. So, I mean, he has options.
Yeah. And I think that honestly, last year they had such a good run game that they need to go back to that. The passing game isn't working right now. And so I really think that if they can get back to their run game and then go to passing, whenever the run game gets going, like with Swift, that's going to be huge for them. And that could actually get them right back on track. But it does feel like in this weird way they've been kind of coasting until the playoffs. It's almost like they locked up their playoff seed and then just kind of coasted the rest of the year. At least that's what it kind of has looked like to everyone else. Obviously, I know they've had some close, tough losses, but like some of these losses, like getting slaughtered by the Giants, come on now. That should not have happened with all your starters out there too. That's crazy.
And with
Uh,
Jalen Hurts getting injured,
Yeah, I mean, I know he's been hurt. I know every Eagles fan has made that very clear, but I really think their run game is going to have to take off, um, and James Bradbury is going to have to start playing better coverage because my goodness, like I know Eagles fans unjustifiably hate people sometimes, but he has been cooked in many games this year, and it's like it almost comes to a point where you're like, all right, when is it just when is it the player's fault? Is it the scheme? Is it Matt Patricia? I don't know why Matt Patricia is the D coordinator. I think that would help them make it further in the playoffs if they fired him, but or just demoted him from D coordinator. I don't know what that move was, but I think they got a shot at it.
And I mean, hear me out. Their first game is against the Buccaneers, and not, trashing the Buccaneers at all because they have a talented roster, but they are one of the weakest teams in the playoffs, in my opinion, even though they won their division. The NFC South is notoriously soft, and pretty much all of the teams are bad. So I think if there's going to be a team that they can beat, it's probably the Buccaneers, just because they come from a really soft division. But luckily, they have one of the best front four in the entire league, which they're really going to need to show up against Baker Mayfield because Baker Mayfield has been shockingly good this year, better than anyone expected, honestly. And really, if he had probably 5 to 10 more touchdowns, he'd probably be an MVP candidate. Like his touchdown to interception ratio is that good this year. He's been pretty good. So they're going to really need that front four to step up in this game.
Yeah.
I can
Chris,
see the Buccaneers.
any closing thoughts of like why they would win the Super Bowl? You got to
Oh,
give.
do we have to be more
Well,
positive?
yeah,
I was just about to say
yes.
the Buccaneers are going to beat the Eagles, but
No,
okay.
no. This is your turn. You
No,
have
no,
to be
no, no,
positive here.
no.
You mean negative on all the other terms. That's fine. But this
Oh,
one, you have to be positive to the Eagles. I think it's funny. It's like God said, I'm going to make you defend the Eagles.
honestly, they have overwhelm. I mean, really, like their defense. Don't get me wrong. Like Bradbury, yeah. I mean, he's going to get cooked. Any corner is going to get cooked.
True.
And yes, you're going against Mike Evans, and you're also going against I'm blanking right now on the other second one. I literally drafted him.
Wait, no,
Godwin.
Godwin's. Is he still on the
Yeah,
team?
he's on the
Yeah,
team.
he is.
So
He is.
you have some great wide receivers, and they literally you have to cover them. But really, I think you have such a high, overwhelming offense. You have to just be able to outscore them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think their defense. Yes, don't get me wrong. They have Antoine Winfield, and they have some good components there to the Buccaneers defense. But with that, like you've literally have shattered good teams before. With the Cowboys, which they were a top rated defense, and
Mhm.
literally for them to destroy the Cowboys with their defense, you should be able to just destroy the Buccaneers. The only
True.
downside with this is that you just have to keep on laying on the hurt and not just let's just run the ball 3 times. You have to just be able to throw and run at the same time. You can't just pick one to the other, because obviously we've seen that with their passing game hasn't been successful. So
Okay, guys, hear me out. I have a chess, not checkers way that the Eagles will make the Super Bowl. Okay, hear me out. Every single Eagles fan wants OC Brian Johnson fired. They all don't like him. They all want him fired. Brian Johnson playoff redemption arc. Calls the best games of his career and then gets hired by the Panthers because they requested him for an interview today.
Dear Lord. Um,
Because that's very Panthers of them, right?
dude. Okay. All right. Well, there you have it. There's our reasons for why the Eagles will win the Super Bowl here. So let's go on to the next team we got here. This is too much, man. All right. So
This is your
Chelsea.
spin, Chris.
But I think fine. I guess I'll
Yeah.
I hope you
it's
get
your
the
spin.
Chiefs.
All right, here we
Oh,
go.
I don't know. I hope he gets someone he doesn't like.
Pittsburgh.
Ooh, that'd be a good one.
Keep on going.
Oh, is that
No
a line?
way.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Take that.
All right, if you guys are listening, Chris just landed on the Bills. All right, Chris, why are the Bills going to win the Super Bowl?
The Bills are like, I don't hate the Bills. I just feel like they're like one of the least favorites for me in this whole playoff series.
Starting out strong.
Fine. Okay. So
Positive, remember.
I don't like this. Okay.
This is funny.
So how can they win the Super Bowl? Josh Allen's got to go back to like go to his form where against the Chiefs when he threw for like 5 touchdowns and was driving down the field in less than a minute. He's got to look like that for one. I don't know if you guys watched the Sunday night game. I was, and good Lord, his experience is really something, man. Like he can make the most incredible play you've ever seen. And also one of the worst plays. I mean, one of their touchdowns was a bonk off of one of the players' heads. That's
was
crazy.
calculated.
Gotta
was
love
calculated.
that.
I mean, I'm like, is that skill? I don't know. So here's the thing: if you get good Josh Allen, you can beat any team. If he's
True.
like four touchdowns, 0 picks, or even just 1 pick, like, man, he's incredible, and they can beat anybody. But if he's down like he was last game, I mean, good Lord, against some of these other teams, that's not going to work. But if we get good Josh Allen, right? All right, fine. They play the Steelers round 1. They should beat the Steelers. But now I do know that it's going to be very windy that day, so it's actually kind of an advantage for the Steelers because they're allergic to throwing the football. But I think that they should beat the Steelers. Now, when it comes to beating other teams, if they have to play Baltimore, if they have to play even Kansas City, their good old rival that they did beat this year, thanks to a good old Kadarius Toney slip up there.
Oh no, don't get Chris started.
So I think that the Bills really do have a shot. Look, they got Stephon Diggs. And he is an elite receiver. If they're throwing to him, man, it's like, and they can get an accurate ball to him, it's like a guaranteed catch. You did see last week that, I mean, one of their receivers, Cook, just dropped it, man, just whiffed it in the end zone. So really, they just need to throw those routes, but throw them to Diggs. And like, it's sad that they won't have Gabe Davis because he doesn't have his pop-off game that he randomly has once every month. So that's kind of sad. But I think that this team is legit. And also, I think their defense is pretty good. I mean, they really showed up against Miami, one of the best offenses in the league. I would say it's definitely best by statistics, but it's right now they haven't been playing that great on offense. But still, the Bills really kept Tua in check. I mean, they got the game-winning pick off of him. Even if it wasn't a great throw, the defense held strong, and their special teams got a punt return for a touchdown. This team didn't look like they would. There was a chance that they were going to miss the playoffs altogether, but they've really been playing a lot better recently. And even in all their losses, it's been very close losses, like one possession, where really just a fluke, one or two flukes or whatever happens and they lose. So if we get good Josh Allen, that's how they can win the Super Bowl, and that's how they can go all the way. It's like you said a while back, Chris. I'm going to revert back to one of your old takes. Basically, you said that the Bills are being held back by Josh Allen. So I'm going to say that however well he does is how far they can go.
That's true. I agree.
So yeah,
and I think Diggs is going to have a good game. I mean, he's one of the best. The thing about the Bills is that if they're going to win the Super Bowl, they're going to need a consistent 2. Like, someone's going to have to show up for the playoffs outside of Diggs and make a difference. And it can't be James Cook because he has to make his own difference, right? So, I mean, I'm thinking Dalton Kincaid. I mean, someone like that, a big body in the end zone that Allen can trust. He's going to need someone outside of Diggs to make a deep run and to win a Super Bowl. And then, I mean, James Cook is just going to have to show up. I mean, he's going to have 100-yard games every single game leading up to the Super Bowl if they want to make it. Because inevitably, Josh Allen will make at least one mistake that'll leave you scratching your head. So they're going to have some way to make it up, whether it be a special teams touchdown, whether it be James Cook going off, whatever it may be. They're going to have some other ulterior way to score that's not Josh Allen, because inevitably he'll do at least one dumb thing that they'll have to make up for. But if he can limit the dumb things, they have a shot. Josh Allen is arguably the most talented quarterback in the league, but he also makes the dumbest mistakes in the league. Imagine how good he would be if he didn't make dumb mistakes. He'd probably arguably be one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I mean, if he cut his interceptions even at half, he would probably be in that conversation. But he's just got to be smart. He's got to be patient, and he's got to trust his guys, because if he doesn't, he tries to do it all himself. And he should know by now that that's just not going to work out, because it has not in the past, and nothing's going to change in the Super Bowl and in the playoffs leading up to it. Like, it's going to be the same old, same old. So he just has to be smart. If he can be smart, they stand a chance. But if he's going to come out and be erratic, they're not going to go very far.
Okay, good points, Chelsea. Mr. Chris, probably Josh Allen's biggest hater. Actually, no, there's no way. There's definitely many bigger haters that would probably say much worse, more
probably
canny things than you. So, but one of the biggest haters, what do you doubters? We won't call him a hater. We'll say doubter.
Yeah, we doubt. Yeah.
Hate's a strong word.
Well, thankfully, since this isn't my team, I can be negative.
Yeah.
Oh, goody.
So seeing how Josh Allen is, and seeing how his play through every playoffs, he's going to get an attitude. A, he's going to be erratic. B, and C, he's going to at least make 1 to 2 dumb mistakes that the defense of the Bills will ultimately have to pay. And don't get me wrong, I can see the Steelers beating Josh Allen by like a field goal at the end, because literally he threw an interception and they literally kill clock out, and then Josh Allen will throw another pick because he's trying to do it for time, and then at the end of the day, Minkah Fitzpatrick will come out of nowhere and get it. Now they are missing Watt.
Big loss,
which is terrible, but their defense is still really good. You can't say, oh, I'd rate them, because really the Steelers, the coach has been there so many times to the playoffs.
Yep.
You do understand this is like the NBA. When they come in here, this is like, this ain't the season. This is different. This says either we win or we're going home. And so this is the mindset of the Steelers that they should go in, is that Mason Rudolph, he got nothing to lose. He has nothing to lose. but being
True.
sit back down on the bench. Josh Allen, he is probably calculating to himself of, hey, I'm going to destroy these Steelers and we're going to move on. We're thinking about the next game. What Josh Allen needs to look right now is he needs to look forward to what's the game right now in front of him rather than ahead of him. Because you know probably how many of his teammates said, oh, yeah, let's look to the next game. And how many people have said that in a playoffs game and then they lose by so much because they're like, we're looking towards a different game than the game in front of them.
Dang.
But they forget these lower seed teams literally have nothing to lose. So why not? I'm going to try my best and just beat you. And we have to remember Mason Rudolph, he's no rookie quarterback that literally he's out there. He's going to do the best he can to the best of his ability. And they do have George Pickens, you know. So honestly, with their running game and sort of passing game, if it's functional, I think they have a high chance that the Bills might lose. And yes, Stephon Diggs, but Stephon Diggs, he has his moments because literally Josh Allen won't look at him. And he might be wide open down the field. And as you can see, Stephon Diggs literally was overthrown, by 10
That's
yards.
true.
True.
Josh Allen can't hold. He wants to throw it as far as he wants, but he has to remember precision passes are the key, not overthrowing them, because that would have been really good. But I think he needs to understand the different sort of touches to his balls rather than bullet passes or launching it as deep as he can. He has to understand, kind of like Tom Brady does. He knew how to throw different sort of passes to get to Stephon Diggs. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
agree.
I think you have a good point about, them overlooking this game, because admittedly the Steelers are not a very strong playoff team, but the playoffs hit different, and I mean, they have nothing to lose. So sometimes those teams can be the most scary.
Yeah. And I do think, I think that's the thing that Bills fans are most afraid of. And they're like, look, they love Josh Allen. He's brought them a lot of success. But they're scared that what if he does start throwing a temper tantrum? What if he does a dumb mistake that puts his defense in a really bad spot? Luckily, this defense is pretty good. Luckily, as long as those mistakes, like let's say Allen throws 2 picks, but it's like arm punts. They can deal with that, right? One, his arm punts are pretty, he can throw pretty far. So they can deal with that. It's those turnovers near the red zone for the other team that could be really the killer there. Chris, I see you shaking your head no. What's up?
Yeah, so with that being said, like here's the ideal situation. The Bills might have a good defense to help out, but you're also coming from a point of the Bills might be looking at the Steelers offense and be like, "Oh, we got this. Yeah, we got you, Josh Allen. You can throw as many picks as you can, and we'll be out there. We'll shut them down." There are so many teams that have said, "Oh, we have really good defense falling back." And it being a high scoring game. We have, I mean, a lot of the games that I've seen with like Las Vegas and the Chiefs, like that was like, oh, it's gonna be a good game, and it's literally back and forth touchdowns. There's no defense out there. There was just back and forth touchdowns. And so that's why yes, you can say, oh, the defense is good. Like I can think the Pittsburgh Steelers might be good, and they might be trembling in their boots. But at the end of the day, the playoffs affect a player so much mentally than you think, because the different environment, and also, is it at the Steelers? Yeah, it's at the Steelers, right?
No, it's at Buffalo.
Is that
No,
Buffalo?
it's in Buffalo.
In Buffalo. So it's a different sort of surroundings for the Steelers. So they may be quaking in their boots, or the Bills might be so overconfident that they might be shell shocked. There's some.
It would be
teams,
very Bills to be overconfident.
Yeah, and knowing Josh Allen, seeing how he is, and don't get me wrong, he kind of plays selfishly. He refuses to go down on a defense. Literally, just take a knee. I know you're a big boy, but just take a knee and move on. Like,
or throw it out of bounds, like,
or chuck it at someone and say, "Hey, you pushed me so hard." It's like, get over it. You focus at what's the task at hand. Get to the next game. If you think there's such pushovers, stop making penalties come out, right, and focus on your team, because your team's going to get distracted. You're the leader on there, so be the leader rather than have a tantrum, because there's so many moments where I've seen literally Josh Allen, especially with the Chiefs, he has such an attitude that literally I think he just gets off his game and starts being pouty and tantrum, and it affects the offensive players greatly, and it kind of sets the tone of like, the personal feelings come to place, and so sometimes that can blind what to get in business, so that's something like, even in business work, when you get angry, you're not going to think about the things that you got to do that day. You're going to get angry at the moment. So
No, and I think that's a good argument for the Steelers winning this game. I mean, because the Steelers don't have anything to lose, right? I mean, they barely made it in. Everyone counted them out. TJ Watt is out. They have Mason Rudolph starting as their starting quarterback. I mean, they have nothing to lose. You know who has everything to lose? Josh Allen. Can you imagine the scrutiny after this game if he loses? Dude, I would not want to be him if that happens.
Yes, Diggs, goodbye.
I mean, the generational wealth would be nice. But
fair.
Anyways, sorry. Had a discussion about that earlier this week of players complaining about getting booed and then saying like, oh, I'd love to show up to some of these fans' jobs and boo them. And then my friend goes, well, yeah, I'm not getting paid generational wealth to do my job. I'm like, true, man. Anyways, besides the point, I can definitely see where you guys are coming from. I do think, I'll say this, at least for the Steelers game, I'm going to give the Bills one huge advantage.
Giveaway?
No, we're not doing a giveaway. We already tried that.
So you just told me that if the Steelers win, you're going to do a giveaway?
I did not say that.
Wait, what are you giving away? Money? Gift cards?
I'm not giving anything away. So
Panthers tickets? They're only $1.
They are only. Why do I have to give that away? They're already giving them away. Anyways, what I was gonna say was I'll give the Bills one thing, is that their home playoff crowd will be ready and amped up. Like Bills Mafia travels well. I mean, you saw like they were being loud in Miami, which is crazy to me. But like, and this is going to be at Buffalo. And honestly, no matter where they go, they're going to have a decent amount of fans. I mean, if they have to play like at Kansas City, of course, there's going to be more Chiefs fans. But like, they go most anywhere, there's a lot of their fans. So I don't think they're really scared to play in any place. I don't think there's an arena or like any stadium that they'd be like, oh, we don't want to play in there. I mean, they play in one of the worst weather stadiums. I mean, look at this weekend. It's supposed to be awful for the Steelers game. I'm pretty sure they're going to throw the football and it's going to fly backwards in the air. So
that would be a sight to behold.
I mean,
don't they have an indoor facility?
No, they don't. They're outdoor.
Oh yes, I remember because they went
because of the snow games.
Yes.
Well, they're building. Okay, so what's crazy to me is that they're building a new stadium, but they're not putting a roof on it. I think they just like playing in that like really crappy environment of snow, cold, like and bitter cold. I guess it just works to their advantage.
It's what makes a Bills fan a Bills fan. You are not a Bills fan unless you tailgate in front of a fire in January and then get a foot of snow dumped on your head during the game.
I mean, it's supposed to be -5 for the Chiefs game.
True.
Oh dang, that's gonna be tough for Miami. With
Chiefs don't get lake effect snow though.
Oh my gosh. All right, guys, we should do the last one here. So for Chelsea, I think it's her turn. So
hope it's the Texans.
Oh please no!
If it's the Texans, everyone has to like this.
Oh, please,
like and subscribe. If it was
Texans, speak it into existence.
For my sanity.
No, it passed.
Oh.
This is going to be the Bucks.
The Bucks.
Oof.
Oh,
okay.
Look, it says Texans.
Okay.
I can't delete that.
Rude.
Okay, so the Buccaneers, probably the underdog of it all, next to the
Oh,
Steelers, maybe.
yeah, I was like, oh.
I think the Steelers might be the underdog, but the Bucks are like right next to them.
At least they have competent wide receivers.
Yeah, they
But-
do.
But go
True.
for it, Chelsea.
All right. Bucks fans, of which I know one. Shout out to you if you are listening. I think that the Bucks have been mega underrated this year. And I know I said earlier that they come from the weakest division, which is not a lie. They do. I mean, I don't think you're going to have many people that are going to argue that the NFC South is the weakest division in football. I mean, they barely made it in, but they made it in, and that's what matters. So I'm going to start out discussing Baker Mayfield. I kind of mentioned this earlier. He has been mega underrated this year. No one has really been watching him, which can't really say that I'm surprised. I mean, after Tom Brady left the Bucks, it was kind of downhill from there in terms of media coverage. But he has a very good touchdown to interception ratio. And I mean, no one's going to deny that he's had games in which he's just looked, not great. But he has had more games in which he has looked good than in games that he hasn't. And I think that that's an important point to make. They basically picked Baker Mayfield up off the street after Tom Brady retired and said, what the heck, we'll give it our best shot. First of all, I want to say that Baker definitely did not get a fair shot in Carolina. I mean, they gave him what? Like half a season and expected him to come out and just change their team. So shout out to him for getting another chance. Their offense is not bad, actually. Baker is underrated. Now, he's not perfect. He's had some games where you've looked at them and you've been like, yikes, is this the guy? And then he has other games where you're like
this last
wow.
week.
Yeah. And then you have other games where you're like, wow, this is the guy. So, it's kind of a mixed bag with what you're going to get. But generally speaking, his stats are pretty good. And he has a decent offense. I mean, his running back, decent. His O-line is decent. Tristan Wirfs is one of the best tackles in the league. So you have that going for you. Pretty hard to argue with Tristan Wirfs. He has one of the best PFF grades this year for tackles. So can't really argue against that. Mike Evans is Mike Evans. I don't really think you're going to have many people that are going to argue against Mike Evans being good. I would argue Mike Evans is probably still a top 10 wide receiver in the league. So as long as you have him on the field, you have someone to distract from everyone else. You have Godwin. Godwin has not shown up as much this year, hasn't gotten as much media coverage, but he's still very solid too. And honestly, on a lot of teams in the league, he'd probably be their one. I mean, that's how good he's been over the course of his career. So don't count him out. Tight end, and some backup receivers, you're kind of really only dealing with those two main ones, and then Rashad White as your primary offensive weapons. But I mean, you definitely have something to work with. I mean, look at other teams. I mean, look at the Steelers. I mean, the Bucks have more to work with than the Steelers do. And I mean, Steelers have pieces, but I mean, the Bucks have Mike Evans. And, of course you could double Mike Evans and, the game would be over because he's double, but bro is good. If anyone's going to beat a double team, it's going to be Mike Evans. And then on the defensive side, I mean, like we mentioned earlier, you have Antoine Winfield, who got notoriously left out of the Pro Bowl over Budda Baker, who he is much, much better than, and is also the highest ranked player at his position, according to PFF.
Popularity.
But obviously fan ranking has determined that he is not the best. So thank you, fans, for clarifying that for me. Their defense is not awful. Their defense is not great. It's kind of middle of the pack, but in the playoffs, you just need something that can hold the line. And I mean, I'm not saying that this game is going to be easy. I mean, they're playing the Eagles. Like we discussed earlier, the Eagles can have a very explosive offense when they want to have an explosive offense. But with Jalen Hurts quite literally limping into this game and both of their top receivers injured, this is probably the game for the Bucks to win.
And at home.
And I mean, once you get through that, you get some momentum, you face some better teams, and you did win your division, so you do have home field advantage.
You won
Shockingly.
Tank Bowl.
Yes.
Or Tank
Even
Division,
though-
sorry.
Yes, somehow they won the division, so they have home field advantage. So, I mean, if they can get a good head of steam against the Eagles and take that into games after that, I don't think it's impossible that they get to the Super Bowl and that they could win. I mean, sometimes the person that wins the Super Bowl is the person that can get the most momentum and get hot at the right time. And I mean, if Baker Mayfield just comes into the playoffs and just is destroying people, what's to say that they couldn't do it? I mean, nothing is impossible this time of year. We've seen crazier. So that's my argument. I think it really rides on Baker showing up. If Baker shows up and has one touchdown and one pick, or one touchdown and two picks, they're not going to go anywhere. But if Baker shows up and says, "Hey, my whole career, I was supposed to be the guy in Cleveland. That didn't work out. I was supposed to be the guy in Carolina. They gave up on me. This is my chance to show a franchise who I am, what I can do, and why I should be their guy for the next 10 years." Like, that's the mindset he's going into this with. What's to say that he couldn't just obliterate people? You never know. Crazier things have happened.
I'm gonna call it here. We're gonna call it here. I think this will be an upset. I think that the Bucks are going to beat the Eagles in round 1. They are at home.
Shockingly, I must reiterate, shockingly, are at home.
The Eagles have zero momentum going into the playoffs right now. They're injured, battered, and bruised. And the Bucks, even though they looked awful against the Panthers in their last week's game to clinch the division, winning a merely 9-0, 3 field goals.
That's a win, baby.
And you can say it's an away game all you want, but playing in Carolina, it's not an away game. It's just a neutral site at best for the Panthers. So I'm gonna say that the Bucks can do it. But man, so also the Bucks like have this weird schedule. Like if you look through all their wins, like their best win of the year was against the Packers. They won by 14. I mean, I
Good
guess
win,
you could
looking at it now.
I guess you could, yeah, true. But like, I guess you could debate like beating the Jaguars by 18. I mean, but like good teams they have not beaten. We'll just put that out there.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
actual like if they face a good to like great team, it's over.
It's a new dawn.
But I'm gonna say that they actually beat the Eagles on Monday night. I think it would be really funny.
Beat the Eagles, take the Super Bowl. It's the path of destiny.
I'm not calling Super Bowl, but I'm gonna call that they win on Monday night. Anyways, Chris, I know you have some words, so
yes, go ahead, Chris. We
I
all
think
know
the Bucks-
that you want to participate.
Okay. First of all, this is sort of the take that I normally give out, so thank you for stealing that.
Whatever. Nah.
And now since you both have agreed that y'all believe the Buccaneers will win, I now believe that the Eagles will win.
Oh, you're gonna flip just like that?
Because okay, don't get me wrong, but Baker, I mean, he has his moments. I mean, yes, I mean the Panthers couldn't even score literally a kicking field goal. Like that's how bad we are. 27 yards. Just remember that. All those who are listening, 27 yards. We missed a stupid field goal at 27 yards. I was literally telling one of my friends that Alex Pinheiro, he can hit anything between around 25. But thank you yet again, Pinheiro, to literally screwing up my sort of take. So thank you very much if you're listening. So that being said, yeah, I believe, I mean, the Eagles, yes, they'll not be at home, and they'll be at the Buccaneers, but you have to understand, the Eagles, you know how much hate they're probably getting from their fans, how much hate they're getting from other fans, and ultimately they're the ones that are hungry. I honestly think that the Eagles are going to come out hungry because they're like, we have to prove ourselves now. It's time to prove it. Stop playing around. And I think with that sort of proving, they're the underdogs in this, because think about it in a way of like the Buccaneers are coming out of like having a good season, or not having a good season, making it into a good season, and then coming in here thinking like, oh man, we're top dogs, we got home field advantage, and Philly, I think, is going to come in and be like, this is a reset game. This is our momentum game.
Okay.
And once we win this momentum game, we're going to steamroll. And knowing how the Eagles are, and seeing how their coach is, I think they're just gonna if they pick up steam, there's no stopping the Eagles because this
True.
is literally defines steamroll. Because seeing how Eagles once they get in a hot streak, it is very, very, very hard. As you can see, at the start of the season, it is very hard to stop that until
True.
later on in the season. So they're going into this
Yeah.
as like this is a snack. So
True. And I mean, the thing about it though, Coach Sirianni, he has a fire under him too. There was a report that came out that apparently there's a chance that he gets fired if they don't go anywhere in the
Classic.
playoffs. Which, do we believe that report?
Yes.
That's
Welcome
up
It's
for
Philly.
debate.
They'll
Eagles.
fire. They
That-
fired Andy Reid. Remember
Dude,
that. They
dude,
fired
that's up-
Andy Reid.
It's up for debate. But I mean, if you're Nick Sirianni, like the last thing that you want people saying about you, especially native Philadelphians, is that you need to be fired. So if anyone is going to come into this game with a fire under their butt, it's going to be him. But Baker Mayfield is going to come into this game with a fire under his butt too. So I guess we'll have to see who burns hotter.
140 yards, 2 picks, and 0 touchdowns is his stats.
Also,
Oof.
I just wanted to reference Chris just to help some. Pinheiro actually wasn't kicking for the Panthers. I realized he was injured, so it was some other guy. It was their backup
Poor
kicker.
Eddie, taking all
Um,
this hate for no reason.
He still can't hit anything.
He
I
didn't
remember-
kick.
Yeah, but there are times with him, like Gano would have been such a better kicker than him. Like, don't get me wrong, but the Gano, the golden toe, literally, at least he had
What a
range.
great nickname.
I mean, he had more range than Pinheiro literally has. You know, he
True.
literally was able to hit farther than 40 yards.
True.
With good old Eddie, literally, it's a miracle he can hit around 35, honestly, because he has to be point blank range to hit something, and that doesn't even guarantee it. So, with him, he's like he reminds me of the Colts kicker when they fired him. What's his name?
Blankenship.
Vinatieri.
Blankenship. Yeah. The goggles man. He reminds me of
Poor
him.
Rodrigo.
Yeah. So I mean, nothing. I mean,
He tried his best.
at least he got a contract. There are kickers that
True.
don't get contracts. I mean, look
True.
at Clemson's kicker. He has a great leg, but terrible accuracy. He can't hit worth a flip. So
Which one are you
True.
talking about? The first one or the second one? Because there
both
were
of
two.
them.
Both of them. Dang.
True.
Guys, we're going off on college rants too.
Sorry.
I mean
sorry.
that
No,
that's
it's
true.
okay.
But
It's okay.
But going to this, I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, I mean, yeah, in this instance, if I had to label one as the underdog and was the top dog, I would top dog Buccaneers and underdog would be the Eagles. That's what I'm gonna say. And you do not.
I don't
wanna
disagree.
You do not want to be a top dog in this moment because I think the Eagles. I don't think even if they're up by 20 points, I think they've heard their fans. They're just going to pour it on, and it don't matter.
Yeah.
They might beat the Buccaneers by 40 if they
Like
allow
Jameis
them.
Winston.
Oh, okay. No,
Pour it on.
no. We don't talk about him.
bro.
Anyways, so
yeah.
I guess we'll find out to see if our teams that, let's be honest, all of us really didn't want to defend, but were forced to
I mean,
by
yeah.
the wheel.
Isn't that weird? Like the wheel just
Oh
kind of.
man, I'm so glad I did not get the Texans. I would have had to shed a tear as I was crying, bro.
I think that would have been.
Defending,
really
tears
funny.
falling.
I
No.
wanted to defend the Steelers.
It would have
But
been
it's okay.
funny. It would have been funny if actually the Jags won and got into the playoffs, and then and the Colts didn't, and literally you had to defend the Jags.
Mm.
That
Dear
would've been
Lord.
funny.
I mean,
Well, on the
honestly,
plus side, Jacksonville didn't make it, so luckily I got myself out of that one.
Yeah, and Trevor
Yeah.
might get fired, but we'll go with that.
can we just like acknowledge how much chaos the Titans caused by winning that game? Like they got
Outside
the Steelers
and
in the
inside
playoffs.
their
Yeah.
franchise.
And also,
Exactly.
they got their coach fired too at the same time.
They won, and Mike Vrabel got fired. The dumbest firing I have seen in a long time.
Definitely surprising, if anything. I mean,
I-
hey, the Seahawks fired Pete Carroll today. So
Okay,
And Nick
they
Saban
parted-
retired.
they
There's some
parted
crazy things going
ways.
on.
Well, they're still like together, but they're not like,
But you also have to understand, I know my hot takes this year was not the best, as two of them have made it to the playoffs in the begining of the season.
Indeed.
But one of them panned out, and you know which one panned out?
Oh dear Lord.
The Rams. So there we go.
True. You got me
Puka-
there. You
Puka
did.
Nakua.
That's true.
I got
You
the
got me
Cowboys
there.
wrong, and also I got the Bills wrong, which I really didn't want the Bills to win because of Josh Allen, and I really didn't think that Dak would do well. But Dak, I guess, listened to this podcast and was like, "I gotta prove something."
He was like, "Frick that
He
guy."
said,
Chris.
"Okay, here we go."
I'll see him on his vacation in a few days.
Oof.
Oh my gosh. Okay, hear me out. All right, real quick, because Chris, I just have to get your opinion. Who wins this game? Since you predicted the Rams are better and that they're in, do they beat the Lions in Detroit?
Oh,
Matthew Stafford coming back.
100%. I think
You think
literally,
they-
I think the Rams are going to beat the Detroit Lions. Don't get me wrong, Detroit Lions, yes, they've been on coaster, but they just stopped being, their surprising selves and have just been coasting. And so I think with Puka literally out there with Kupp and also Matt Stafford, that's a scary offense. Don't get me wrong, but like really the Detroit Lions only have Aiden Hutchinson, and
they lost their guy too.
Yeah, he is trying.
They lost Laporta.
Yeah, and he's trying his darnest to literally win the game. But Aiden Hutchinson, after the game, looks like he is exhausted afterwards. And don't get me wrong, but he can't be out there 24/7 to just rush the quarterback.
Yeah.
And Matt Stafford's pretty smart since he's had a Super Bowl instance. He's literally have all the defenses literally rush him. He's going to have slight touches, and Puka is going to capitalize.
Yeah.
Hey, we can't forget about Kyron Williams either. That dude came out of nowhere, just like Puka did, and has been elite. So, yeah, I will give you that one, Chris. I really thought that the Seahawks were going to be better. And let's be honest, if you looked at it on paper, you would have thought they would have been better. And to be fair, they did barely miss the playoffs. They almost made it.
Yeah.
Could have been like the 6th seed and the 7th seed. So they did almost make it. But the Rams offense has been probably one of the biggest surprises in the league this year. Literally no one saw Puka Nakua getting drafted and being arguably a top 10 receiver already. And no one saw Kyron Williams coming in and being dominant. No one expected that.
Exactly.
Not you didn't, I didn't, yet here we are. So, props to you. You got that one right.
But I will say the Rams defense is looking rough. I will say,
yes.
Donald is saying, "Where's everyone?" After he has,
their defense looks sus, but
they won a Super Bowl and ran, bro. That's what happened.
Yeah, and then all of them said, "Nah, we're not going to play defense anymore. Let's go somewhere else." So
the Rams are going to have to outscore the Lions if they want to win this game because their defense is not going to be able to do anything.
And don't get me wrong, Laporta being out is a major hit because don't get me wrong, I think in the future he could be a Travis Kelce. I think he is looking to if Goff actually stays well and does well and he targets Laporta, I think he has the ability to be even better than Travis Kelce if he continues this way. If not, then normally there's a downslope on tight ends that are new. So
the commissioner of our fantasy football league sure loved him. I can tell you that much.
Oh yeah, well Conlon always does, but we'll see. We'll see next year. I hope he takes Bijan Robinson. So
he is never taking Bijan Robinson again. I can tell you that much.
I think what if they get a new coach? Well, no, not what.
He still won't. He's told me that he is never taking him again.
Well,
regardless,
yeah, because his coach said, I know I got this nice, Mercedes, but I'd rather drive this Volkswagen instead.
And shout out to Dan, Chelsea's father who won our fantasy. Shout out to him. Literally, I think I did say it last at the beginning of the year. I said my team was good, and also Dan's team was good. Well, obviously my team went to crap, but Dan's came back. So
dude, we gotta acknowledge that not only did my dad lose Joe Burrow this year, But he also lost Anthony Richardson, traded for Goff, and somehow won. That's crazy. How you rebound from the two biggest losses on your roster and still win, that is mightily impressive. So props to you.
Look, we're just gonna say shout out to my team not being the worst, at least in one of the leagues.
Heyo.
So we were the best of the worst, the consolation tournament winner.
Nice.
Who was
So-
last, by the way?
Jack, remember when we all laughed at his team
Yes.
on
Well,
video?
well.
Yeah.
I
we
was
got-
7-7, so I can't really say anything.
We got that all right at least.
Oh yeah, that one was a pretty surefire bet. The Rodgers pick at like, what was it? Was it first round?
No, it was
It's
second
third.
round. Second.
Second.
or
Well, that
third.
wasn't Jack's pick, but that
Oh, I
was a
know.
very memorable moment.
That
We
was
just
enough.
gotta acknowledge that my dad changed his fantasy team name to three-legged dog named Lucky. That
And, well-
accurately sums up his season.
True.
Literally, Eckler was hurt, Connor was hurt, Taylor was hurt, and then what? It was the game against me. James Conner had the game of his life, had like 26 points. I was like, are you kidding me?
We also-
You're on a terrible team. You haven't done anything all year, and you got to go off against me. Rude.
We also cannot forget Kyle Juszczyk. Shout out to
Kyle!
Mr. Juszczyk.
He got
Shout
a
out to
touchdown this
Kyle.
year.
And you cut him. You betrayed him. Look,
Sorry, Kyle. Kyle, I'm your
Anyway.
biggest fan.
And
Okay.
you know what? He's in the Pro Bowl because there's no fullbacks in this whole entire. You know,
you
Kyle,
had a
I'm your
Pro
biggest
Bowl-
fan.
You had a Pro Bowler on the roster, Chelsea, and then you let him go.
Dude,
Just-
I know.
that's
dude.
because there's no fullbacks in this whole entire system. So
no,
I-
no.
Hey. You want to know how many touchdowns my guy had this year?
two.
Kyle Juszczyk. Honestly,
had
I thought
two.
he had one, but
think it-
fantasy says he has 0, but I don't think that's accurate.
he
I'm
has
pretty
one.
Sure, he had at least one.
No,
Maybe he was a.
Oh
Maybe-
wait, no, it was receiving. He had 2, not 1, not
Dear
3,
Lord.
but 2. Kyle,
Anyways.
Kyle,
Yeah.
Kyle.
Guys, we've gone way off the rails, so let's go ahead and end it while we're ahead here. Thank you guys for listening to this. This was fun. Hopefully all of our takes don't age horribly.
But they probably will.
also, yeah, they probably will. There's like a 95% chance. But yeah, Chelsea, do you want to lead us out of here in our wonderful intro?
Yeah. Or outro. For sure. And I
Outro,
mean,
yeah.
let us know what you guys think about our defenses of these teams. Tear us down if you must and build us back up. We'll live. But anyway, thanks for listening, guys. Tune back in next week for more content. In the meantime, follow us on Twitter at LaunchCodesFB and on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube at LaunchCodesFootball. I'm Chelsea,
I'm Chris P.
And I'm Chris W.
and we will see you next week. Go Bucks! What the heck?
Go Taylor Swift.
Oh, yes.
Go somebody, please. Somebody go to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Bryce Young.